Hello and welcome to a episode of the Euro blog for November 2022. Small disclaimer, this video may well contain triggers as we do talk about suicide, anxiety, depression, as well as things like substance abuse and a range of mental health difficulties that people face every day. So please, if you do go into this, do just be aware and make sure you look after yourself before and after, especially if that means talking to someone else and getting their support. Now, onto the vlog. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of You Are Right, the mental health vlog for Movember 2022. I am honoured to be joined by the Midgard Viking Brotherhood today and members of their organisation. And what we're going to be talking about is what is the organisation and also kind of the community that it inspires. So I'll hand directly over to the group, really, to introduce themselves and we'll have this conversation.
Right.
G'day guys,
I'll let you guys
I'm Dane.
introduce yourselves first.
Yeah, it's too easy, I'll take it off. I'm Dane, I'm better known as Rusty from the High Council of Oceania region, so I look after Australia, New Zealand and a few other different countries down here. I'm a concreter by trade, and getting on board with stuff like this is a major thing for down here, especially with mental health and stuff like that. The boys here, the Australian guys now here last year supported Movember, done a few fundraisers and that for them, and it's something that, yeah, we definitely like to get amongst and raise awareness about in any way we can, get out there in the community and try and make a difference and help out, but also be there for our members and our brothers and in the hard times, the good times, you know. So that's one thing that we try and install. It doesn't matter what's going on in life, that you can always come and talk to one of us and try and work things out, and we've got each other's back. So I'll pass that on to you, Erwin.
Well, my name is Erwin. I'm from the Netherlands, and I am a council member for the European continent. We, in Europe, talk a lot about mental health and Movember, how to support each other. So yeah, Movember is something we definitely support. Joe.
I'm Joe Shickwin. I'm a millwright by trade in the wind energy industry. I'm the High Council of North America, overlooking Canada and America. Yeah, this has been really big on my life, and being able to get together with the brothers and bring a positive impact in people's lives has really propelled me to go through these last couple of years. And just seeing brothers coming in with problems and looking for a shoulder or looking for someone to hear them, and just a positive environment has been really something that has kept me on board. And it's always rewarding every time going through and seeing a brother coming in and seeing a positive impact on his life, and then that being followed through in the rest of his family's life. And charities, of course, we've focused on around here with ALS, Heads Up Guys, which is a big good one for men's mental health. And yeah, it's been an honor and a pleasure working with all of them. Zeke.
All right, it's my turn. I'm Coach Zeke. I'm actively right now the consigliere of the organization. One of the founding members alongside. I'm trying to remember. Were you guys in the founding group?
No.
No.
Damn it! The
We're
only one that
OG,
was
bro.
in the founding group
Yeah.
was
OG,
John
yeah.
right now. Yeah. So I'm gonna delve a little bit into the story then. Anyway, so the consigliere basically, it's I don't look over any territory in particular, but I am just kind of there to provide advice when necessary, kind of break ties when necessary, and obviously one of our biggest benefactors and the company helped us get it all started, as you said at the beginning, is the beer struggle, and I work for the beer struggle as well. So I serve kind of like the nexus between the two organizations whenever something needs to get done or something like that. So that basically covers who I am and what I do, because I am basically full-time beer struggle, MBB, brand Vikings all together. And I think it's good that we're touching on mental health, because it's very cool to see what this has become in general in the 2 years that that I've been, at least with the beer struggle, a little bit over 2 years. I saw this grow from just a couple of dudes hanging around, being brand Vikings and wanting to do more things together and helping each other grow our Instagrams and all that stuff. It just grew into this fantastic brotherhood, and it couldn't come at a better moment either, because it was right when COVID was starting. My memory is terrible, so I'm gonna apologize from the start. And remind me, guys, Erwin, Joe, and Rusty, when did you guys join the beer struggle brand Vikings? Not the MBB, because I know you guys were from the beginning, but I mean when the MBB was not a thing yet, and we were all brand Vikings.
I started being brand Viking in April 2020.
Okay, so pretty much same
Yeah.
as me, end of March.
Yeah, end of March for
You
me.
guys the same, right?
End of March, beginning in April.
June. Yeah, June for
There you go.
myself, 2020.
So it's funny how a lot of people come into that end of March, and the reason for that is because that's when the pandemic started. The whole lockdown started, and a lot of us. I don't know about you guys, but I was used to working around a lot of people at that time.
Mhm.
I was running
Yeah.
fitness clubs, and I went from using 12, 14 hours of my day for work to suddenly being at home, not having any contact with anybody and not knowing what to do with my time. So the beer struggle to me represented a possibility to continue to have that social aspect of things, while being in the pandemic, kind of have a little bit of sense of normalcy, hanging around with some dudes, shooting the shit and all that stuff. So that's what it provided for me. And this was even before working for the beer struggle. It's this was it started as a customer, and I just hit it off with the guys. And I think that's the story of a lot of guys, is that we started getting so close with each other that it was truly like we've never met each other face to face, and it was like we were all practically best friends. We knew everything about each other.
Oh yeah.
It's insane to think that all of that grew from, you know, being a brand Viking and that meeting yourselves there and then growing from that point. But I really think that it shows what the organisation's done and what it continues to do, because it's not like, you know, it stopped since that point. I mean, I came on board in December last year, so December 21. And even after that point, all I've ever seen is growth in both the Discord. I was one of the first members in that when that first launched. In the Facebook group, you see it weekly. You know, it's constantly growing and evolving community, which is something that, you know, you go to a lot of places. I'm in a lot of Discords. I'm in a lot of groups all over the place with a lot of different charities and a lot of different companies, and they don't have anything like the Beard Struggle does with their brand Viking, and they don't have anything like MBB's on the addition to that.
Yeah, I think when thank you. But when we hit the end of 2020, December 2020, it was more than being a brand ambassador. It was more charity driven. Let's bring back something for the community. Let's talk to each other. We're just friends, brothers, getting close to each other, putting back what I say to the community, and wanting to do something with the whole COVID pandemic. So yeah, for me it was more than just being an ambassador for a beard brand or a beard product brand. It was just hanging out with guys when you had nothing to do, and supporting charity. I remember we did with the Dutch guys had a Ronald McDonald charity fundraiser going on. So it's just not only Movember. It was just the bigger picture for me that sparked everything, started everything.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it definitely felt like that, and I think that was the main spark to go from Brand Viking to Midgard Vikings. I think it was that thing that, hey, we all know each other online, but how about we actually start getting together face to face and start doing, things at charity organizations, community service, all that good stuff. And I think it was the perfect timing when it happened, because it was right when the whole lockdown was starting to calm down a little bit, so we were able to start getting together a little bit more. And that was the idea behind it. The idea behind it was, hey, we're already doing this virtually. How can we take it a step further and even strengthen the bonds of brotherhood a little bit more by actually being face to face and having this core group of dudes that are going to be there for each other in the same city, improving the community that we actually live on. And that's why we created the Midgard Viking Brotherhood. And the funny thing is, why not turn Brand Vikings into that? And the reason for that was because we have members from all over the world in the Brand Vikings. We have guys from all over the world in the Brand Vikings that are with other beard organizations, other brotherhoods, other clubs. So the truth is, we don't want to make this not available for some people, right? So the Brand Vikings was a reunion of people from many clubs, many brotherhoods, all types, all walks of life. And we figured, you know what, if we turn this into something else, what's going to happen is a lot of those guys are not going to be able to participate. And we don't want to lose anybody, right? Everybody's welcome in that group. So what we did is we created a second path, which was the Midgard Viking Brotherhood, in which if you're not already in a brotherhood, you're not already in a club, and you want to be a part of that, this is for you. That we got you, and this is the path that you can take with us. And that's pretty much the birth of it, right?
Absolutely. Touching on a little bit what it done for me down here in Australia. I mean, I was going through a pretty tough time mentally when I first joined up with the beach struggle, and I'd only just lost my uncle to a heart attack a couple of weeks beforehand, and it was something he always said, follow your passions and do stuff that makes you happy. And I got home and I've been getting emails from the beard struggle, join up, being an ambassador. I was like, I'm not really into that type of thing. And then after that happened, I come back and jumped online and jumped on board. And then the community that was in there was just incredible, talking to guys from all over the globe. And it was just amazing to be able to connect and talk to different people and relate and get advice on different things. And it done wonders for my mental health. And I reached out to a lot of the Australian guys here and started pushing the idea and going, do you guys want to be a part of this, or do you want to make something of this? And, we've grown from there. And right now, currently, I'm at the Australian General's house. So I'm come down and stayed with him last night because we went out to a Renaissance fair yesterday with a couple of the boys. So, literally, I slept on his lounge last night and I'm up. That's what we do. We hang out, we catch up with each other, we support each other. And in doing that too, we go out and try and make our communities, our local communities and then our regional ones, a better place, and then try and give back to the people that have given back to us, So the Brotherhood's done wonders for myself. And like Joe and Coach and I were saying before, hearing stories from people that have come in and just going, wow, how different things are and how much of a difference it's made in their lives is huge.
And you guys are so close too. I mean, when you get in I get in a Zoom call with the guys from Australia, it's just brutal. It's brutal because everybody is so close in that call that the shit talk is real. It is real. It is just absolutely brutal. I just love it.
And yeah, that's something that we've wanted to make sure that it stays here. Having that good culture within the Brotherhood's a major thing too. Making sure that what we have here and what we're trying to do continues on. So making a difference in the community is one of the biggest things. But hearing those stories and hearing from new guys coming up through to saying how much of a difference having this type of outlet has made to them, and the fact is that we get on and support our charities and different things like that makes all the difference. So it's huge for hearing different people, and becoming inspirations for different people. My dad is probably one of my biggest fans, and he's constantly telling everyone about the Midgard Vikings and this and that. And so's Kyle's mum, General. She's constantly telling everybody, and it's awesome to have people like that in your corner backing you and knowing that you're doing the right thing and also making a difference and putting a smile on people's faces.
Yeah, 100%. And Joe, what was the experience over there for you guys in Canada?
Sorry, can you repeat? I have a hard time hearing you.
Oh no, what was the experience like in Canada for you guys? Because Canada was a really different experience too. It was a territory that it wasn't there was a presence there, but it wasn't a super strong presence of the Brotherhood. And suddenly when Joe came along and he became originally the warlord of Canada, Canada went just it absolutely flourished. And I think there's something to say there from the fact that, you know, water in your garden makes such a big difference, right? How dedicated leadership really shows when it's time to bring people together, and I think that's kind of what happened with you guys in Canada. So I don't want you to have to toot your own horn, but tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So when I took over, you know, all respect to Scott, the previous warlord, he was an amazing guy. He had a lot going on, you know, in his life at that time. I think Canada was very limited to his stress that he was going on. And so I found that whenever I was able to take over as warlord and just learn who was good at what and run with it, there was so many guys with huge ideas, with great potential, and we just didn't limit that. We said, okay, look, here we are. COVID is heavy in Canada. We couldn't really go do anything anyways. So we were like, let's maximize what we can do online as a brotherhood. And we just threw the positivity out there. We reached out, and that was, I'll add to that right now, was one of the things that I remember the most is MVB. Is being able, like previously, before MVB, you know, you go and you pay, you donate money to charities, and that's all you really know from it before. So it's like, oh yeah, here was a charity. Do you want to support it? Yep, here's some money. And then from the point I give the money and walk away, I feel good for 10 minutes, but then you never remember it again. And that's how, well, at least for me, that's how it was, right? But being able to be an MVB was, you know, contacting the directors and the CEOs of the nonprofits and charities and having a meeting with all the high-ranking members in Canada, getting face-to-face with them and learning the true problems that they're facing on a day-to-day and why their charity is and what their goals are, was something that I'll never forget. Like, you always think, you know, Canada's an amazing place and beautiful, but only to find out that, you know, we're lacking with our free healthcare, we're lacking so much of healthcare. And then I was able to really talk one-on-one with people and see where we're lacking and where our money's going to go and how we can apply it. And that for me is something I'll never forget. And after our first real charity, that's when all the guys realized when we got together. And I think on that one we raised, you know, over the 2 months, it wasn't crazy amount, but it was like 6,000 we raised in 2 months for that first real charity. And all the guys was like, wow, like, we're not just a bunch of guys that go to work every day and come home. We're guys that when we get together, we can make a big impact. And then I'll go back to Zeke, whenever we talked about turning MVB into a nonprofit, I'll never forget when I said that to you and Faisal, was like, MVB is taking the greatest ideas of TBS and creating a legacy out of it that can live forever. It's not limited by corporation. We will be able to do this and keep on doing this forever through that brotherhood. And that for me is what keeps me going every day.
Yeah.
So something you've all said there, you know, all of you have, you know, all of it is brotherhood. Everything, you know, it's this brotherhood that's been formed, and I adore that. You know, even from like an outsider looking in, looking at the social media posts, looking at, you know, how you guys engage on Instagram and that sort of thing, reading the stuff about it that TBS posts and any blog posts and stuff like that, really shows that actually you have festered this brotherhood of men, you know, that all do support each other and that all do support outside of each other and that are always in contact with each other. And it is admirable that, you know, that you've been able to do that, achieve that, and then even go further to continue doing that, continue growing into a global thing. You know, it's not just like this is sitting in Europe or this is sitting in the States. You know, this is growing worldwide, which is a phenomenal achievement. And being able to pull brothers from all over the place to get involved with that really shows that the calling is out there for that community. But MBB's been able to pull that community together and go, let's make this difference. We can make this difference, but let's make it together.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a great segue, and I'm gonna give this to Erwin real quick. I want to say something. It's one of the most difficult things, and this is the thing about me not having a territory is the fact that I am all over the place. So one day I'll talk to Rusty, another day to Joe, another day to Erwin, and I think one of the most difficult things on a higher level in any organization is that we didn't start as a group of 5, 10 guys in one town in which we formed this chapter, and then it lived on for a couple of years, and then it started expanding out into other places. We just dropped the hammer with 20 countries, 70 heads, about 500 members, and now we're up to 1,000 members after a year and a half of being an organization. And the truth is that when you do that, it becomes increasingly difficult to hold the culture everywhere and kind of hold that same culture and hold the line. And that is one of the most difficult things to do at a higher level in an organization, is make sure that nobody is going out on their own, right? Like, oh, hold on, this part of the world is kind of going out of the bylaws, so let's bring it back and try to keep everything level so that the organization can grow at the same rate with the challenges that it presents to have such different cultures. And I think that is a good segue to Erwin, because Erwin is the high council of a territory that includes many, many different countries, right? So Joe has North America, massive territory, but it's 2 countries. The cultural differences are way less. And the same thing with Dane, right? Rusty, the cultural differences are not exactly, well, no, come on. I see it not in there, Erwin. Canada and the United States have more things in common than you think. But when you talk about Erwin's job, he's running a territory that has, I don't know how many, 30 countries or more. And all of those countries have different languages.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got 26 countries in Europe, and we currently have people out of 30 countries in the European Discord channel. So we have Iran, we have South Africa, we have Europe, including England, of course, and every other country that's in Europe.
You have the Middle East too, right?
I got the Middle East apparently. I've got Pakistan.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, he got Pakistan.
Asia, yeah.
We got Iranian guys in the European Discord channel. We've got Russians and we've got Ukrainians, and those two go along quite well nowadays, as I may say. But we've got the Scandinavian is the Baltic states, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Iceland. We've got Denmark, not in that group, but yeah, it's Scandinavia where we're represented. Ireland, the Netherlands, Belgium, France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Sweden. We've got Central Europe with
so many different languages.
Yeah.
I can go on for hours, and the most wonderful thing is we've got Central Europe consistent of Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, and Hungary, and those countries normally don't match with each other, and those guys are just hitting it off, growing little by little, but they're working together. Who would have thought when Czech Republic and Slovakia would split up that they would work together? The Brexit political, they're just welcome, no borders. Yeah, we talk English all the time in the Discord channels, but we've got our groups where we can talk to our fellow countrymen, and then even then we talk English because we've got an Irish warlord or Scandinavian warlord that pops in. So it's just amazing how quick guys can switch between languages and continue without borders, any borders.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's one of the biggest things is the fact that we do come from different walks of life. We do come from different countries. We have a lot of differences. I mean, Erwin and I every now and then we'll get into a conversation about our differences of opinions, and if we do have very different opinions on certain things, right? And it happens with a lot of guys as well. But the truth is that it provides an environment that is very rare in the world today. In the world today, it's very rare to be able to disagree with somebody and still remain friendly. It's terrible that something like that is happening, but it is the truth. It is very difficult to say, I disagree with you fundamentally on this topic, but be able to say, but you're still my brother, and we can discuss it, and we can talk about it, and we can argue, and we can yell at each other. But at the end of the day, you're still my brother. We're still part of the same organization, and we're going to have each other's back. And that is, I think, one of the rarest things to find in the world today, down the path that the world has gone in the past couple of years. And that is what I love. I love the fact that Erwin can come and tell me, hey, I disagree with you on this. I'm like, fine, perfect. Let's talk about it. And then at the end of the day, we're fantastic. I'm just going to figure out how to piss you off today, Erwin.
I'm going to bed soon.
I haven't figured it out yet. I'm going to try really hard.
I'll send you some photos, Erwin, of some nice, dirty, big spiders here that you can send to Coach every time he beats his fat ass.
No, this thunder down under. I don't even want to know what picture's going to send you.
Got to subscribe for those ones.
That's your little side gig, huh?
I think all of that really explores, though, how important community is. You know, that even though you've got these disagreements and these objections between each other, actually the community thrives through it. And I think if you look wider, if you go even outside of MVP, it just showed that, you know, that a lot of men probably do lack placement and lack community, because a lot of them do take on things on their own because the way cultures fall and form, you know, and the whole mentality of, because I am a man, I've got to do this alone, or I've got to fight this alone. Like, COVID was definitely a big game changer for a lot of people, and everyone struggled. It was a very blanket thing, but there was an awful lot of working men out there, and there's fathers that, you know, they were like, I've now got to look after this family that's at home. And it doesn't discount, you know, that it was a hard time for everyone. But I know a lot of men personally, a lot of my friends that were like, they were holding together, when like those were kids, their families, while everyone started to lose their minds, it was their position to do so, and they didn't have the community. You know, and over lockdown, we all had our Zoom calls and our phone calls and our gaming sessions and, you know, watch parties, whatever you want to call them. But MVB is a community on a different scale, you know, and I think that's something that I'd like to just dive into with you guys, is that kind of that love of community and that requirement, and actually how we can fill the bill of having that community.
Take this one.
Good question. Just trying to think.
Then y'all are going to accuse me of talking too much.
Yeah. I could see that coming, you know, they're all waiting for you, and then it's like, you'd open your mouth and
Can you repeat the question, please?
yeah, so it's all I'm looking at really, you know, how do you think or believe, you know, around the idea that community affects men, you know, and what we spoke about, what MVB does for community, and I just kind of like to explore that idea that we as men need that sort of community to benefit us to thrive.
Every man needs a tribe.
Yeah, and every man needs to talk to like-minded people with the same problem. We did a men's mental health awareness and men's suicide prevention in June, and that went global. People talking to each other. It's okay not to be okay. Hey, are you okay? What's up? You can talk to me. And I think that is very important for men in particular, because the macho culture, the world has of us, you're a man, don't talk, just, man up, buff up. You need to go on, you need to continue, and hide your problems, but that's not the best thing to do. It's just finding that person in the community, in our community, and talk to them. I think that is what men need.
I'm gonna touch on this because this one is a close one. I always have a very different perspective in the man up situation. What I do for a job, and I've been doing for a job for many, many years, and I'm gonna talk for myself. If you guys can relate or agree to this, you just go like that and I'll know. But the thing is this, I work in an environment in which I need to make decisions constantly. And as a man, that is your burden. Your burden is to make decisions, because you can say anything that you want, but whenever shit hits the fan, the family looks at the man to make the decision, right? Look at the man to figure out what's going on. And my wife is a very, very strong woman, but she'll look at me and she'll go, what should we do? And I have to make that decision. And I have the same thing when I'm at work. When I'm at work, my job basically is to make decisions constantly. So I think as a man, that can turn into a very, very lonely place, a very solitary environment in which you don't know if you're making the right calls, but you have to make a call. So having an environment in which you can talk to other dudes and be able to say, hey man, I made this call, what do you think? And be able to either get that validation or get a different perspective that tells you, you know what, that might have not been the best call. Let's go and solve it. And I think the man up situation, there is a huge thing that's happening in our society right now that they say that, you know, the toxic masculinity and all that. And I am of the idea that I don't believe masculinity is toxic. I think the lack of masculinity is what has become toxic. I think the lack of men willing to take responsibility for their actions, willing to take responsibility for their decisions, willing to take responsibility for taking care of those around them. Men with that lack of that those inclinations, I think is what causes the toxic in the masculinity. Because I always thought from a very early age, as a man, you take care of your own. You shoulder the decision. That doesn't mean that you're not going to express when you feel bad about a decision, or when you feel bad about doing something, or something hits you really deep. You show it, but you don't let that break you. You continue to move forward because there's always people depending on you. You know, I have my wife, my daughter depending on me. I don't get to break down and not function. That cannot happen. And I think having that brotherhood around you and that community around you that will, whenever you're kind of like you're feeling a little weak, they come and they pick you up real quick and they hold you there until you get your 5 minutes of freaking out, and then you just snap out of it and you get back on that horse, you know, and you get back to making decisions and you get back to taking care of your own. I think that's the important part, because the biggest part about men breaking and not getting back up, I think, is the lack of having that foundational support that it is a community around you, whether it's a brotherhood, whether it's your church, whether it's your D&D group, whether it's your gaming family, whatever it is. But you need to have something that will be that foundation for you to be able to allow yourself to fall for 5-10 minutes a day, a week, whatever the fuck you need. It allows you to fall while other people are holding you, and then you get back into it.
Yeah.
And I think it requires a lot of masculinity and a lot of strength to be able to be that person for someone else, because it's a lot of pressure, but it's less pressure if we have more people to help us with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just to touch on that a little bit, Zeke, exactly, like just following off of what you said, you know, you wake up, I get up in the morning, and as soon as my eyes wake up, subconsciously, I'm the protector and the provider. I roll over, I put my feet on the floor, I take my deep breath, and I say, okay, I got to get out. I got kids. I got to get ready for work. So I got to prep my mind to be that dad and that husband. You know, I got an amazing wife that meets me at the door every morning with a coffee and a hug before I head out. That's amazing. But then on the drive into work, you get that little bit of a prep for your work life. I'm a contractor too, so I'm in a pretty aggressive industry. You know, it's male dominant too. So as soon as I get to work, I'm not only with my customers, but I'm with other contractors that are waiting for you to mess up so they can take your company. So as soon as you get to work, boom, that shield goes on, that thick skin goes on, and you got to do that all day. You do that all day, every day. You don't even realize you're doing it until until you get back to that community at night. And it's like you get into that safe haven and you take that breath and you talk to them, and then you realize, wow, I was under tension all day and I didn't even know. You know, and that's what this community has allowed me to realize. And I think that's where men go down that bad path, because they don't realize it until they get to that breaking point. And the community has allowed me to not get to that breaking point.
It's a secure base.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a safe place. It's a safe haven, like you said, Joe. We can come in here regardless on the day that we've had or how we're feeling, and know that it doesn't matter what we say, we're not going to be judged, and we're going to get nothing but support. And guys, our brothers are going to literally pick us up and go, dust yourself off, or if you need 10 to 5 minutes, take it. We've got you.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move forward from that. And yeah, it's something we always do down here. If we notice straight away if someone's not themselves, and we jump on them, or I'll give them a phone call and just like, what's going on? Talk, we'll go meet up, have a coffee, or, where it's viable. And it makes all that difference. I lost my uncle last year to suicide, and having this brotherhood, huge. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the positivity rates, because I freaking love this. I love them. So positivity rates, guys.
Oh yeah.
Listen there. Basically, when we find out a brother is going through a hard time, the entire brotherhood visits that person either in a message or in a post they have, or anywhere they can communicate with that person and give them their support, so they know that they're not alone. And I think that goes beyond not just the moral support, but we've had situations in which some of our brothers have had unexpected things that happen to them that puts them in a very tough situation, and we immediately mobilize the brotherhood to help that person, whether it's economically, whether it's help me out with the word in English, guys. Moral support, I guess.
Yeah, moral support.
So in whatever way it's needed, we will be there to help that person in whatever capacity we can. And I think that's also important, right? Knowing that you have that safety net in case something happens.
And if you're going through a hard time, I don't care what anybody says. When you open up your Instagram and you see 700 messages or 700 comments on a post telling you to be strong, we love you, we got your back. And it doesn't end with that day either, which a lot of people don't realize. It's like, yeah, not every day you're going to have that 700. Well, that number goes down every day. But, for days after, there's a lot of brothers that keep on liking them posts, keep on following up on those posts. And, so that one day positive rate can be going out for 7 days of love. And I think that makes a world of difference.
It's energy, man. It's energy. Yeah. Everything is energy, right? I mean, you can get it's like what they say, right? I don't know if you guys have this thing in my country. There's something that we do against envy. By the way, I'm from Argentina. I live in the United States right now, but I was born in Argentina, and we wear a red what do you call this around your wristband?
Yeah.
We have a red wristband, and it's supposed to combat envy. So basically, this is supposed to reject the negative energies of envy. And I truly believe that energy has a massive impact on you. Manifesting what you want is vital. Being charitable and having gratitude in your life, it is massive. It is a massive attractor of positive energy that changes your life. I believe that 100% because I've experienced it myself. I've
Absolutely.
experienced being in a
Yep.
bad frame of mind that keeps you going down that spiral. You know, that a bad frame of mind, a bad day becomes a bad week, and then it becomes a bad month and a bad year. But when you have the opposing force, you know, you have that negative energy that's bringing you down, and then you have that opposing force of positive energy, it allows you to not go down that rabbit hole and allowing that bad day to turn into a bad week or a bad month. It just stops it right there, right? You had a shit week, you had a shit month, but you get the support from your community, and it immediately stops there, and it allows you to recover, regroup, and come back on the other side. And I think that alone is worth it for us and everything we do.
Absolutely adore that entire thing. That definitely, you know, it's a very broad question, community, because it means a lot of things for a lot of different people. And I must admit, I love the idea of positivity rates. That sounds not only wholesome in the fact of what it is, but also so impactful, because you're right. You know, when people start going down those routes, especially when you are, say, you know, you've got your family on your shoulders, you fall, and then you look back at yourself and you go, well, I should be doing this. So you fall lower because you're not doing what you think you should do. But having that sort of positivity, that sort of brotherhood, that community boost, it must make an absolute difference across board. I don't think, regardless where you are or what's going on, that sort of thing's got to hit you like a ton of bricks and send you absolutely sky high when it does.
I believe Faisal was the one that came
Absolutely.
up with the positivity rate. I believe it was it was on Slack. He started talking about we should do positivity rates.
I like
And,
that.
Yeah, Faisal, I don't know if anybody knows, he's the CEO. Well, everybody here knows he's the CEO of and the founder of the Beer Struggle. So he's very involved from the back end of things. But yeah, it's just that's the goal, right? The goal is to be able to make an impact, to make a difference, to increase your circle of influence. We can't change the world, but we can change what's around us. And if we change what's around us and we get together with other people who are changing what's around them, and then that starts kind of like from this circle, you have another person doing a circle, you have another person doing a circle, and that influence starts expanding. And you can't change the world when you start expanding in that way, right? You can't change the world by yourself, but you can definitely change the world if you are getting together with more and more people that hold your same values, that hold the same principles. And I think that's what's important to keep here, right? Is understanding what we stand for and staying the course there and bring more people that feel the same way.
That's why I was so driven to have this call with you guys, to be honest, you know, with MBB, is because the whole aim of this series, it was to do that. It was to show, you know, that I can change this small place, but if I can show that loads more people are ready to have that conversation and loads more people are talking about it, then that conversation expands, you know. And I'm now in contact with people that I never would have met before without this project. And we talk every other week. And even, you know, the other day, one of them messaged me. I haven't spoken to him since we did his video back in March. And he messaged and went, "Hey, hope the videos are going well. Can we chat about something?" You know, we had just a little Zoom call, and it was just something could happen in his life. And he just needed a bit of reassurance that his reaction was appropriate to what happened in his life. And it was like, I don't know this guy, but I've now had a direct effect on him. And it's nice to know that he's now spreading this message through his people, and I can use that to spread the message through my people. And when all these are released, you know, it will show everyone that this conversation is out there and that these communities are out there, and hopefully drive more people, if they don't already have one, to go and find one and go and become one and make that difference, not as an individual, but as a group.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the goal, man.
So to just round all this off, I have one kind of closing question for you all, which is, do any of you have any kind of closing remarks to anything we've spoken about, or anything you'd like to add that maybe you haven't had a chance to mention, or anything like that?
Well, it ain't weak to speak. Like what Erwin was saying before, doesn't matter what, especially with blokes, doesn't, you know, it's seen or, you know, looked at as if a man speaks up, it's weak, but it's a show of strength. If you can sit there and you want to go lowest and talk about what's going on that you need help with, yeah, that's showing more strength than anything. It's something I definitely live by. It doesn't matter how bad it is, speak even if your voice shakes.
Is there anyone else with anything else?
Oh, I'm letting someone else talk, man.
Come on, you know you want to.
I'll let you guys go.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm blank.
That's fine.
I think is that is what Dane said, right? Is thinking about being strong as handling everything yourself without ever reaching out to anybody. I think that's one of the most short-sighted approaches that you can possibly have to not only to life, but to being a man, to masculinity. It doesn't mean that you can do everything by yourself. It just means that you know when to ask for help, and you know when to keep pushing, and you know when to say, hey, you know what, let's just drop this, because it's just going to take us nowhere. It's going to take us in the wrong direction. We need to know when to retreat, regroup, when to attack. It's all a very it's a very delicate ecosystem that you got to create in your life to be able to balance out the bad things that are going to happen to you. It doesn't matter what you do in your life, bad things are going to happen every now and then. Okay, there is no way around that. There is nobody's life that is perfect and pretty and pink, and no. So things are going to happen. So the problem here is not whether or not you're going to face it alone, is whether or not you're going to know when you need to ask for help, when you need to say, hey, I need help here, man. I need, like Dane said, it doesn't make you less of a man to say, hey, I'm going through a tough time. I need the help. Because I've done it a million times, and I've had help every time that I ask for that, and I'm very thankful for that. So whenever somebody's going through a tough time, I'll be there for them. It's just a matter of understanding that nobody can make it alone. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody can make it alone. And the more you try to make it alone, the more you're going to feel lonely, and the more you're going to go down that spiral that is going to get you to a point in which it's going to be very hard to return. So whenever you start feeling like things are not great, that is the moment to reach out to somebody. Don't wait until it's an emergency. That's the moment to reach out to a brother and say, hey, man, help me out. I'm not feeling it today.
We're just touching on a little bit with what you're saying there too, Coach. Like, it's also makes a massive difference with the guys here, that we know each other so well that we can tell if something's up, and we know if something's not right, and we can even jump on it before it gets to that point. So you can kind of, tackle. I know one of the guys here, he goes through a fair bit, and I can tell straight away when he's not good. It's like, hey, bro, we're going to meet up, see you at the fishing spot. And just the difference that makes to him is like, I didn't even know that I was getting to that stage. Like, I can see it. Like, I've been through these things myself, and I know when it's probably a good time to reach out and say, look, we're here if you need us, speak. But, you can only be there so much too, like you got to want the help as well too. So it's hard, so knowing when to ask for it, but also to having brothers like ourselves here, knowing that, hey, something's not quite right with Joe today. He's not his normal usual self. What's going on? And, might find out something a bit more's going on. And, or Erwin's not his usually bubbly self. What's going on? And, we can kind of work out and see that something's not right. And it starts the conversation. And usually 9 times out of 10, we've hit the nail on its head. And within 10 minutes of talking to each other, it's like, I feel so much better.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely wonderful point to kind of go on there. Thank you very much, guys, all 4 of you for coming and joining me. And thank you, Zeke, for kind of bringing this together on your end. As I said, just before we started, this started off as a conversation with MVB, and then they directed me to yourself. And then now we have, people from all over the world in this conversation, which I think really shows the size of the community. Then. Yeah, unbelievably. So happy that we did it. And, it shows that this community isn't like, just where you are. The community is wherever you want it to be and wherever you can find it. So thank you guys for coming along and doing this. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem at all. Appreciate you reaching out. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thank you
Give them a
to
good word.
and thank
And
you to everyone
Brian,
that
if there's a
Yep.
if there's a way to put, whenever you put this out, if there's a way to put the Midgard Vikings contact information,
Yep.
either social media or any of the guys' emails, anybody that it's feeling like they need the support, just fucking reach out to us. Just reach out to us, and there's always going to be a helping hand around the corner.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
thank you to everyone that's watched this. What I'll do is somewhere on the video, so depending where you watch this, depending where this information will be, there will be contacts for the MVB, as well as a range of other contacts, including the Movember Foundation, the Samaritans, and just a few other places. Thank you all for watching, and there will be another one of these tomorrow morning, as always. Stay safe, have a wonderful day, and yeah, I'll catch you all in the morning. Thank you guys, and goodbye.
Brother. Cheers.
Peace.
Thank you for watching that Euro blog. It's been a phenomenal journey that we've been on to get this far, and we're hoping that it will long outlive the vlog series. But it's not over there. There is more to be done, and there is a donation link to the Movember charity inside the description. If you can donate, please do consider it, or even if you can just spread that link far and wide to get as many people to donate as possible, that's also fantastic. We are actively making a change, and you're part of that. So thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.